So, baby is asleep again. We'll give it another try. Maybe it happens again. We'll see. We'll do what we can. Oh boy, I gotta do more earlier in the day. It's just difficult these days. We will continue with the Solana learning stuff. So pause these. Yeah, attempt number 2. It is what it is, guys. Cool. Sounds on. Yeah, perfect. All right. So today we're not doing it with sound. We're doing it again back into the normal screen. We are doing. Okay, so what comes in mind when you think about a strategy implementation, and where do you see potential starting points or difficulties? I guess what's difficult to me is to understand maybe what the heartbeat is of the trading, what the heartbeat is of the trading bot. And so basically, kind of say, okay, so we have different strategies, and like when there's something that triggers it, right? And then it's going to apply some strategies and then basically change the strategy based on some signals. I guess that's what's going to happen. I think what feels hard to define is exactly maybe having seen an example. And so, but I guess the starting point, or the starting point would be to basically define what triggers a trade to start. I think that's the first question. What triggers a trade to start? Now, I guess an easy one to start with that will be workable is some sort of maybe escape velocity measurement, but that makes it difficult. Something like, no, or maybe, so by experience, what I've experienced so far is I do notice that one thing that tends to happen is that likely I think there's some sort of monitoring going on, as in like there are specific wallets that that they've launched good stuff in the past, and then you just in this case the strategy is if a certain wallet launches something, then you just go for it. I put some music. Yeah. That's good. So now feels like the perfect moment to focus on strategy implementation and see how those pieces come together in practice. What part of the beginning of bringing your strategy to life are the most difficult to work through first? I would say, let's think about these. So we have the initial kicking point of the strategy, and then we have the moment where we switch strategies. I guess is switching a strategy an actual thing? I mean, what a strategy is in the first place? Is it like the strategy to just say buy and execute certain types of trading logic? You know, what even is a strategy, right? Well, the first is just let's start coding what the trigger is, right? Let's start coding what the trigger that's like decides whether you go or no go for one specific trade or token happens. I guess this is where I would yeah. I think I'm gonna actually fire up Grok and start from there. I think that makes sense. Not a specific hesitation. I think, well, I mean, yes, it is, right? Because I'm not so sure if that's the best way to approach these. I'm not so sure if it's something where we're just monitoring the whole thing, everything. How can, like, there's a lot of activity, right? So how can the bot, how can you ensure the bot actually sees the relevant stuff, right? I mean, there's a lot of activity in the blockchain, and so you're monitoring. How do you ensure that you pay attention to the right thing and that it arrives in time? I guess you have the web hooks or the sockets, and then you're just kind of like getting the signals and then decide. But that's the one thing that I'm not so sure about. Okay, so let's look at some code. I'm actually What do you mean least? What do you mean with listing? It would be first is monitoring the blockchain, and second is trading starts. Sorry, I was still distracted. I mean, the first stage would basically be waiting, monitoring logic, and the second stage would be the starting, the buy, like the buy phase, right? Or the buy strategy, where you're basically just doing small buys until you detect the moment that you want to switch to sell. Although, again, maybe that is a very simplistic strategy. Why wouldn't you choose to go with something else where you're maybe doing a few buys, a sell, a couple of small sells to maybe just create confusion, then more buys? Like that's, then, yeah. Ah, damn it! The think aloud traces go way too go way too fast. Let's just look at these. Okay, let's think out loud while we read these. So what do we have here? We have I need to, yeah, that's basically thinking out loud here. So I have, okay, so I have the token info, and then we have the strategy class. Okay, so the strategy class is the decision engine of the Solana trading bot. It decides with under 50 milliseconds whether to buy or to skip a token. You can tweak the thresholds below to match your risk appetite. Interesting. Okay, so pull age, buy volume in 5 minutes, buy tax, sell tax, social score. What is a social score? Oh, if it has socials, interesting. Really, like tokens do actually have this min liquidity, max market cap, scoring ways. Holdings percentage, interesting. Holder concentration. Momentum, buying pressure, safety checks, LP burned, no honeypot, taxes, social proof, has tweet, has telegram, has website. Should buy, make decision function. Okay, so should buy is the main decision function. Buy yes or no, confidence score. Example usage, Solana trading strategy, example token that just launched that you would fetch from Bird Eye. So you can plug this into your full bot, subscribe to new radium pools via WebSocket. When a new pool appears, fetch all the fields above, and then call should buy. Okay. No, that's good. That's a good start. So that's like a starting point. Yeah. Solana trading strategy. So these would be one step. So right at the basic phase of implementing a simple strategy. I mean, these would be the simple strategy, right? I think I understand that strategy well. So essentially, should buy. That's the way that it works. So you actually have, well, the simple, so let's okay, so the simple way that I would do these, okay, why is this not working? Okay, so the simple way that I would do this is in the initial strategy. Let's talk about the initial strategy, right? So I would write down the strategy like these. I would basically, the first thing is I would just basically subscribe to the WebSocket. I would basically pull the information, I would receive the information from the system, and I would have a function that calculates based on whatever the weights that I want to put in the design. It calculates something that is a threshold that I have of like buy, no buy. Grok's having an error. No problem. We'll try again. Hopefully it'll get stuck now fully. Okay. Yeah, cool. So we're seeing some code today already. This is good. That happened again. Can I mark it again? Okay. Chapter 3. Um, Consider how opening a strategy rollout or dealing with silence might create early barriers in your plan. Summary step. Step-by-step plan for implementing a strategy. Okay, so let's look at these. So first of all, chapter 3. So consider how opening a strategy rollout or dealing with silence might create early barriers in your plan. What does this even mean? When we're talking about silence, are we talking about, like, for example, no updates coming from the thing here that we're subscribing, the WebSockets? It's a good question. What do you do? I mean, like nothing. I guess nothing. What else can you do? You wait. I mean, if there's nothing arriving, you just wait, right? Or we're not really gonna gamble here. It's a bit ironic, right? But it's like kind of, in a way, it's like, what would I do? I mean, come on. I mean, you could adapt. You could lower your risk threshold. What do you mean by rollout plan? Okay, is the rollout plan? Oh, so this, okay, so there's actual. Oh, no, that is the rollout plan of, like, skeletons. No, I meant. Is it really meant like this? No. Strategy rollout. Strategy rollout. I think it's in the context, in this context. What do you do if they stay silent? I would just, like, we just don't trade. Across the team, department, entire organization. Yeah, it's a strategy, tactical. Yeah. I think that it actually got confused here with, like, a business strategy. So how would you describe the first steps of launching your strategy when the dates stay silent? Look, I won't actually go beyond a certain. That's personal taste. I won't go beyond a certain sort of risk profile. So I would rather just say the bot stay silent, and it is what it is. We wait until something comes our way. I mean, at least for the initial strategy. Later on, as you said, other strategies, as you're rolling out towards like the buy strategy and then the sales strategy, then those can be more dynamic, I guess. I don't think it creates any entry barrier. Why would it create an early barrier? An early barrier to what? What am I even typing? Let's stick to the strategy that you designed at the very beginning, the initial buy no buy strategy. How would we move now? Can you give me some like scaffolding for code that moves or that plugs that strategy in and then that moves on to multiple other strategies based on different things? Yeah, I guess it's fine. As I said, I guess it's fine. Like how, I mean, yeah, it could be that it's silent, but it's like it's your choice to do that, right? That's my point. All right, we'll move on to chapter 4. Summarize what you've learned so far. Strategy step and gaps you've identified. All right, so let's try to summarize where we are. I mean, we talked very basically about the beginning strategy so far only. So the idea that you have the early strategy, so you're the beginning strategy, which is always going to be a buy no buy decision. So you're going to have a buy no buy decision that you're going to have to make, and then once you go with buy, then you kind of go all in, and then that kind of kickstarts all the other different strategy patterns that we will, I guess, talk about in a second. I think my main gap is still around what do you do after the buy decision. Like, do the strategies kick in sequentially? Do you have like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, because you could go complex. You could actually go, you make a buy and then you make a series of like, you know, a sell and a rebuy, and then you keep buying on a thread, but then you keep doing something else on another thread. I don't know, even if I think about multi-threaded trading bots, that would be actually crazy. Yeah, I think we're done. It's a good checkpoint. This is just a summary checkpoint. That's okay. So I'm gonna pause it for now. I think one thing that is very interesting is I'm not so sure. Like I'm still like I guess I like the ILE a lot. I don't necessarily want to get out of the environment for just chatting with Grok, but it almost feels like, I don't know. It's like, what if someone prefers Gemini, or what if someone has, you know, a paid agreement with someone with another, like maybe they want to use something else, you know what I mean? So I really can't force people to use an AI that they don't want to, maybe, right? So but I still feel a bit of a disconnect. I still feel like it's not obvious you can do things outside the ILE. The ILE keeps listening to you, right? So it's kind of not that obvious that you can do things outside of it. Maybe because it is a window in and of itself, right? And it's not a piece of software that is running locally and that is maybe overlaid or something. But it's good because I like to have all the buttons and everything. Anyway, it agreed. What is chapter 5? Am I wanting to engage or hesitation affect later stages of implementation, and what adjustments could you help? It keeps asking me these, and I don't really know why. So let's do a few more minutes, and I'll wrap it up. What do we? Okay, so waiting for engagement or hesitation affect later stages of implementation. I don't think that would affect that anyhow, unless, okay, maybe if so, maybe the actual threshold or the actual sort of value that is past the threshold, and that's maybe what it means by hesitation. So if the threshold is 0.5, let's say, in a scale from 0 to 1, and the threshold that you put yourself for is a 0.5, above 0.5 is buy. But maybe what is maybe the whole thing here, we could be smart about this, which is it depends on how much we're crossing this threshold. We're going to actually have a different rollout strategy in terms of we're going to have a different set of strategies afterwards. If we're very confident, if we're like a 1, then we're going to go with a more aggressive strategy, versus if we're like close to 0.5, we're going to go with a more conservative strategy maybe. Yeah. That is actually a very good realization. This is a very good realization, actually. You see, I have to stop. I mean, this is a kind of an eureka moment. It's a piece of insight that was born in my head because of the previous question and this question. It's something that I wouldn't have thought of it myself unless I would have just like read on a tutorial, right? It's just yeah, maybe it's less of a like wow, but it's like it makes sense. It's like it is a smart way to implement a, if you would call it, like a rollout strategy, right? So here it says now that this ties the early way directly to strategy adjustments. What specific adjustments to later stages, such as resource allocation or team roles? What are team roles in this context? Now, what are team roles in this context? Use graph. Okay, so maybe they should have like a copy context. I think that would be a smart idea. Like actually would have a smart idea would be have an ask grok card that pops up often when the user asks for things, and have a button that copies straight the context, and a button that already has a query pre-built. This is actually a useful feature, and I have to remember to implement all these. By the way, I like music. I like music. Brain FM maybe? Integration. Does Brain FM have an API? Maybe there's an open source alternative. You know, like brain music. Okay, give me a second. 1 second. 1 second. I have to wrap it up actually. Yeah, but let's just a real quick thing here. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's good. That's good. It's fine. Let's discuss the group stuff later. It's all good. I think that was a good session. At least I was able to, yeah, basically connect those dots towards the dynamic beginning of a strategy. I think that makes a lot of sense. So here you would have a trading strategy interface. You can play many strategies later. Then the original strategy, which is basically should buy. Main bot scaffold, which is just runs. It's a wild true basically. It runs. Fetch new pools, execute buy. And then how to run multiple strategies. So there's conservative strategy, aggressive momentum strategy, weekend only strategy. No, that's probably not exactly what I want. We'll iterate from there. That's not exactly what I want. I have to describe this to Grok a bit better. But that's good. That's good. It's good.